Hello and welcome to another episode of So Fly. It's the middle of summer, and we're back in the studio. Well, off on location this time. My name is Mitch, and we've got Aldo here.
Hey, everybody.
And as I said, we're recording actually in a really special place today. We're recording in a fly shop called Fly Masters in Indianapolis. Aldo, why is that?
Well, Mitch, it's because we came down to fish the White River. And who invited us?
Jason, my man to the right. Jason, how's it going?
Really well, Mitch.
And Derek, of course, from Fly Masters. How's it going?
Well, down to wonderful, as we always say.
Perfect.
Amazing. Jason runs a guiding company called Two Forks Guiding. He guides in and around Indiana, mainly like south of south central Indiana. Is that
Central Indiana.
Central
Sure.
Indiana, specializing in the White River.
Yep.
And then Derek runs the shop here at Fly Masters. Beautiful shop.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us in here.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's a special place to do this podcast. And
It is.
pretty fitting at the end of this trip for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we jump into our trip to Indiana, and we're going to talk about the White River as well, which is a really special story. We'll talk a little bit about Fly Masters and Two Forks. Jason, what are we drinking today?
Well, we've got Beer Brewery. They've got two locations now, one on 65th Street and one up in Carmel. Super folks over there at Beer Brewery. I'm currently having a Track beer.
Me too. Track beer. It's delicious.
It's a lager. Really easy. Really easy
American-style
drinking.
lager.
I'm about to
Oh, look at that.
have an Easy Crush,
Nice.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
their dry hopped pale ale,
Right on.
which has an awesome can, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, a delicious taste. They hooked us up with a bunch of beer over our trip, and we thanked them a lot. That was awesome.
Yeah, we've just been enjoying this beer the whole trip. It's really nice to taste some Indiana beer, craft beer. It's really delicious beer, too. I was drinking Goot. I was Goot time all weekend, which is really good.
Yeah, the Goot factor was down. We are out of Goot.
Oh, yeah. We're out of Goot.
Next time, we're going to have extra.
Extra Goot because we just love it so much. But as Track beer, everything's really, really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jason, you're a fan of the podcast.
You got it, man.
Jason,
Huge
how did
fan.
you find
How'd you
So
find
Fly?
us?
Well, like many things in today's society, I searched, so I typed in fly fishing in the podcast search.
Yeah.
SoFly came up, and I thought, wow, what a cool logo, right? And
If you see the Two Forks Guiding logo, it's not dissimilar from our color,
I love it.
from our logo.
yeah, if you look at my logo, it's very similar to the Beer Brewery logo. It's
Oh, yeah.
amazing, you know?
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, so started listening to the podcast, mostly in the mornings. At the gym, ironically, is a place I find time to do that kind of deal. So I was listening, and I think you had some great people on there, and I really enjoyed your questions and thought the little pieces were funny, and I thought, boy, it would be great to have these guys down here and enjoy some of what Central Indiana has to offer. And when I first put it out there, I thought, joke, like these guys are going to be like, what am I doing,
Yeah.
So it was, super ecstatic when you guys decided to take me up on the offer to come down here and do some fishing.
Yeah, I got your message, and I was like, because I kind of monitor the messaging, and so does Mitch on Instagram, and I was like, Mitch, this guy Jason wants us to come down to Central Indiana and fish for smallmouth, and of course, Mitch and I grew up fishing for smallmouth in Ottawa, and so he's like, all right, and I'm like, all right, and we sent a message back to you, and
100% we're gonna go
you were
down.
like, all right.
do
you were
this
like,
thing, yeah.
you're like, oh, you guys actually want to come? We're like, hell yeah, we want to come down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so thank you so much for inviting us. I mean,
Hey,
this was awesome.
Oh, man,
what a
totally.
great 3 days, man. This has
been
just
so
been
fun.
awesome.
It's been
Yeah.
so fun.
So we drove down. Mitch finished work on it's
Oh,
now
baby.
it's now we're recording on July 15th, which is a Monday. We came down on Thursday night after work, the 11th. So I picked Mitchie up after work with Holly, our videographer, who's taking video of us right now. Hi, Holly.
Hi.
Man, what a trek down that night. Man, we
got
were really dedicated.
Slammed in traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It turned a 7-hour
long-
drive into like a 12-hour drive,
Oh,
and I was
man.
like, oh, man.
It was a long week leading up to it, but we were just excited to get down here. So it was like one of those moments where you just power through all the work and you're just like, whatever, drive, crush it. We'll do it. Jump in the car, head down here. And yeah, we got here pretty late. What was it, like 1:30?
It was like 1:30 in the morning. We had a photographer buddy of ours, Joel, join us, and he was coming from this epic trip that he took in the Yukon, the BC, and started driving east from there. And he was like in Montana, and he was hanging out with Chloe, which you know, one of our former guests, which was awesome. And it's cool that they connected. And then Joel came with his girlfriend Jen, who I went to university with. It was like all these worlds colliding, and they showed up half an hour before we did, and we got there to Jason's river. What do you call it?
We call it the River Chateau.
It's awesome.
It's an awesome.
It's a great spot on right on the White River.
Yeah,
It's a really nice little place.
gorgeous. Yeah, awesome little place. And unpacked and slept for 3.5 minutes, and all of a sudden Jason's coming through the door at 5 a.m, like, let's go. And I was like, well, I just went to bed, but sure.
It was just like a crazy, like, just like, whoa, are we being like attacked or something? Like everybody's jumping out of bed. We're like, let's do this thing. Go outside, meet you guys for the first time. Oh man, right away. We're like, oh, these people are super nice. Like, we had the drift boats ready to go, the rods packed up. We're like, this is gonna be a good day.
Yeah, like we brought all of our gear, but you guys already had all the gear set up. I was like, oh man, we didn't have to do anything. Like, this is amazing.
We're very used to providing the gear, so in fact, it's one of those things that you're pre-packed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might as well just kind of say, all right, we'll fish your rods.
What do you like, just for everybody listening at home, how do you typically plan out like a guided trip? What do you bring in, all that stuff?
Yeah, so I'm typically a 6 to 8 weight type guy. Most of the fishing's going to be, I always have a sink tip in there, mostly float lines and some intermediate lines. But I usually don't go below a 6 and don't really need to go over an 8.
And how long has Two Forks been around?
2 years now.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
And you're originally from Texas.
You're correct.
Great.
Yep.
And you moved here when?
I moved here in 2002.
Okay.
Yep.
Rad.
So,
And you fished the rivers the second you got here, kind of thing?
yeah, I pretty much walked in. Actually, I walked in here, but Derek probably doesn't even remember this story. But
He's shaking his head like,
I walked in and I said, "Hey, where do people fish around here?" You know, and he was like, "Well,
Anywhere there's water.
you know, you can fish in any of these waters, right?" And I said, "Well, where's the book?" There was this great book back in Austin that was done on fly fishing the hill country, right? And so I thought, well, for sure these guys have one of those, you know.
Yeah.
And I came in looking for my guidebook, and there wasn't one, you know. And I said, well, where's the book? He's like, well, we're all too busy, you know. And I said, hey, I get it. So I started looking around, and really, you know, things kind of grew, you know, being here on the near north side of Indianapolis, it was like, well, you know, time is important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Starting businesses, you know, we had our first child in 2006, but it was, where can I go fishing? So I just, you know, started looking at maps and said, White River, let's do it.
Right.
So bought a drift boat and just started doing it.
Right.
From Texas, you came to Indiana. Why did you come to Indiana again?
Well, I married a Hoosier. So
Derek's like, classic.
yeah, I mean, I hear that story quite a bit. You know, it's these Hoosier ladies seem to never leave. But I came up, ultimately, my now brother-in-law was a good college buddy, met his younger sister, and asked for forgiveness and asked for permission to start dating his sister. And here I am 16 years later.
That's awesome, man.
Quick thing. What's a Hoosier?
A Hoosier is somebody that's born here in Indiana.
Got it.
Yep.
Hoosier.
Yep. Hoosier.
Look at that.
Derek, you had a similar story. You came here and married someone, never left. Is that true?
That's correct, although she was not a Hoosier.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
She was from Ohio State, so.
Oh, right on. And your home state is
Missouri,
Missouri.
the
Nice.
Ozarks. That's where I'm from.
Oh, right on. And you've been running this shop for how long?
It's been a while, yeah.
Since the last century.
It's awesome.
What year were you born?
1986.
Ah, okay. So you were 12 years old.
Wow.
Okay. I was 2 years into fly fishing.
Yeah, we've been in business since 1990.
Okay.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Before Mitch was born.
Yeah, that's true.
Mitch was born.
91.
How old are you?
91, 28.
28?
Yeah.
Wow.
This one here. You guys are all old.
And is it?
Very old.
We have kids coming in here now. We used to, parents or, wife would come in and buy a gift certificate for their husband that needed to develop some type of sport, and she'd bring in a couple of kids in a stroller. And so now those kids are coming in here and they'll flop their money on the counter and they'll look at you like, what can I get for this? Which is really pretty cute, but it's like, wow, I remember when you came in here in a stroller. So
Yeah.
It's pretty rad.
it's fun. We have some really fantastic customers because the Midwest is full of great people. So it's a great place to run a retail business.
I'll second
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you guys have been so hospitable. Just for everybody listening,
Oh,
these
God.
guys, we showed up, man. Like they spent it was hot. Then we spent 3 days shuttling boats and taking us on, showing us so many rivers, big long float days. Derek's making shrimp scampi on the
Oh,
side of
man,
the
yeah,
river.
we gotta
the
get
bottles.
to that.
We'll get to that. But
That was
like bottles
amazing.
of rosé. These guys like the hospitality is unreal. Like Jason, thank you so much. Derek, thank you so much. Like,
Our pleasure.
Absolutely, yeah,
we
guys.
really like.
Huge thanks.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, just to quickly go over the 3 days of fishing,
Yeah.
because I think that's one really cool thing to point out. The 3 days fishing were awesome. We got nothing but just beautiful weather, sun, and we had so much fun drifting those boats. And each day, Derek actually made like these wicked lunches right on the shoreline. You bust a table out, you got some rosé going. You're cooking. You're doing it right. That's wicked.
First day we were drifted. We were behind. Derek was the lead boat, so we drifted up on him, and he had already set up for lunch. And we are like, "What's going on here?" He's got the table out.
Yeah. When did that start?
The wine corked. I was like, "That's living, right?"
You know, the first year I went to Argentina was probably, I think the first year you came in, 2001 or 2002. So we go down there in January because it's their summertime, and we stop to eat lunch, and they get out these tables. Whoa. They get out these chairs. Whoa. They got not just one bottle of wine. They get out several bottles of wine and a bunch of food. And 2 hours later, it's like, wow, this is great. And so one of the things that's important, to anybody that fishes is, catching fish, all that's fun, but the overall experience of the entire day is really important. And actually, an experience is more of a value to people than personal possessions for a lot of people.
Yep.
So I came back and I didn't do that many guided trips because you run a fly shop, you don't have much time off. But special customers, good people, I take out on trips, and I just started doing long lunches because fishing in the morning can be a really good time, and fishing late in the evening is a good time. So, hey, let's take a break in the middle of the day and
Yeah. It's a great idea.
let's sit down and have great food because I love to cook.
Yeah.
And drink some wine and
Yeah.
smoke a cigar and,
Yeah.
and talk. And now these people have been friends for years. And that's one of the great things. And Jason will tell you that too, is we have, great people here to go fishing with.
For
so
sure.
it's,
Good
so
community.
just spending the entire day with them is just a lot of fun if that's possible for you.
What kind of people are you guys taking out? Like, I guess let's speak a little bit about the community here, the fly fishing community, and the guests you have on your boats.
Well, I think, sometimes we have people come here from Colorado. Have you guided people from Colorado?
Absolutely.
And, most of the time, they're used to throwing small things.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, you could do with bad technique.
Yeah.
But if you put something weighted and something big and wind resistant, like a deer hair popper on their line, they can't throw it farther than their car.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's important about people doing local trips is I tell them, you go out there, you practice on the river, you're throwing big stuff, you're throwing it in tight areas, you're practicing all the really great techniques that will help you do any other kind of fishing.
Yeah.
Saltwater, trout fishing, regardless of what you're doing, what you're practicing here is going to build you great skill for wherever you go in the world to fish.
Mhm.
And it's something you could do right here in your backyard.
Yeah.
And as Jason probably has heard from his customers, once they get out on the river, they're floating down it a while, they've caught a few fish, they're looking around and they're thinking, wow, this is really nice. I didn't know it was here. It's been here all this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think probably for him, and you could say more about this, Jason, he starts thinking about, how do we make this more popular?
Mhm.
How do we get people to participate in river life and river activity more? And Jason's oriented in that direction, because he's a business person. He's always thinking about, how do I promote this? How do I get more activity in it?
Yeah, it's been, that's why I started it, ultimately. Sharing it with people, so it was, at first it starts out sharing it with your close fishing buddies, right? You need somebody to row, Wade, shout out.
Yeah.
True.
But it starts that way, and then you start taking people that maybe aren't anglers, or they are anglers and they're from here and haven't been on the water. And for me, it was like I'm getting people that have born and raised in Noblesville, right? Taking them down the White River, and they're looking at me. They've been here 40 years, 30 years, whatever. And they are looking at me like, Jason, I have never, I've always known this river's here. I've driven over it 1,000,000 times, and I've never been down on it. And you usually see it in about the first hour, of a 7-8 hour float. And you see this change in them, man, where they just go, wow, I cannot believe I have not done this. And it was stuff like that was happening to me more and more and more when I was on the river.
Right.
And I thought, wow, this means something to me, and it was really important to me that it's not that you're just showing it to them, but fishing it too, right? And tying it all in with fly fishing and stuff I love. It was great. So that was it for me. I mean, it just got to a point where I was doing it so much with friends and acquaintances, and then people that I had taken, and they would tell their friends, and it got to where my wife was kind of like, Jason, come on, buddy. Yeah. You're fishing a lot. And I always say, well, but I'm not fishing. I'm rowing, and I'm guiding, and of course she still doesn't see the difference, but there was a point where my mainstay job just allowed me to be on the water more.
Which is?
I'm a real estate agent.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I work for FC Tucker, and built a little team, and my wife got into the business about 5 years ago, and she's super at it. And so we work really well as a team, and that's loosened up my 7 to 5, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have a fairly short fishing season, for smallmouth. So it's not like you're going to be out there for 150 days. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So, and this year with the rain we've had, multiple cancellations, so yeah, I kind of look at it as just, if I can get out there and show people the smallmouth, show people the White River, the more people that I can introduce it to, the more people are going to care about it, right? And more people are going to enjoy it. And there's no one I've taken on this river that's, not said to me at the end of the day that this was just a great experience.
Yeah.
And so we've got to keep doing that, That's just awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think what's cool about that, and what Derek, you were saying about like people are like, oh, this is great. Like we have people like in our community or whatever, like, sorry, I used to work at, we have a fly shop called Drift in Toronto, and it's right smack dab downtown. Not dissimilar from like here, like it's in an urban setting. It's not like Streamside, and got outfit a lot of people for salmon trips to like Eastern Quebec and stuff, and they're always like, well, it's just too bad you can't use this gear around here. And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, we have 4 rivers within like half an hour in the GTA that get a massive steelhead run. You can use this right here, and then they're like, what are you talking about? And you're like, well, why don't you come out with us? And then they're like, I had no idea. I live 20 minutes from here. I live 10 minutes from here. I can walk here, and so it's cool. It's just like, I'm just mentioning this because it's just like, it sounds so much like our fishery.
Well, it's important because you guys grew up warm water fishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So the fly fishing industry is dominated by trout fishermen.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've been here 30 years. I've fished everywhere in the world. If somebody came in before I met you guys and said, what kind of fishing can you do in Ottawa? I would go, duh.
Yeah.
I'd probably say pike,
Yeah.
muskie.
Yeah.
But if you would have told me smallmouth, I'd go, really?
Yeah.
And
Largemouth,
largemouth, really?
Yeah.
So
carp, gar.
warm water fish. You guys have warm water. You're in Canada. Everything
Walleye.
freezes up there, doesn't it?
Walleye, yeah.
How can you have warm water fishing in a cold country?
Yeah.
But that is the prejudice, because you have to remember that River Runs Through It came out, and all of a sudden hundreds of fly shops opened up, and about 6-7 years later, hundreds of fly shops closed down because
Yeah.
they found out this is work.
Yeah.
But it's dominated by trout fishing, and warm water fishing is dominated by conventional tackle because it's popular, and you could do it a lot of different places. And getting the focus on warm water fishing is good for our industry, but our industry is still stuck on trout,
Yeah, for sure.
and because for a variety of reasons. But so it's great to know that there's good warm water fishing in Ottawa.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the capital of
All over the place.
capital of Canada. You could go
All over-
smallmouth fishing.
all over southern Ontario. Actually, all over like most. There's definitely a line in terms of when you reach like a certain latitude where the smallies start going away. But even like we're in Elk Lake, which is 5.5, 6 hours north of Toronto, we were banging beautiful smallmouth. Huge smallmouth. And northern Quebec too. Well, not northern Quebec, but like where our cottage country in Ottawa, is southern Quebec, which is 2 hours north of Ottawa. And even then, the smallmouth fishing is like your girlfriend, fiance's cottage. Fiance's cottage
Yeah, in
is
Quebec, yeah.
in Quebec is like an amazing
smallmouth
smallmouth.
fishery. So like
We just came back from Mitch's cottage too, and the largemouth were nuts.
Yeah.
They're nuts. We had a 60 fish day.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it is
Honestly.
about like bass that makes it fun to fish for?
Well, you have to remember that this is Bryce's peak, 1/10 of 1% of the water in the world will accommodate trout. Okay?
Yeah.
And that dominates our industry. Obviously, as you know from being here and other places, warm water fishing is the most readily available fishery for anybody.
Mhm.
And, our industry is, I don't know how to explain it, but, our focus here is on warm water fishing. That's what we do.
Yep.
We have a lot of people that the only fly fishing they'll ever do is for bluegill in a farm pond or neighborhood pond.
Mhm.
And to most fly fishing people, that person isn't a fly fisher person.
Mhm.
They're just some hack out there throwing a little popper to bluegill.
Yeah.
And that's, one of the reasons why we've been so successful is that we don't care how you fish for it, what you fish for. If you're an angler, we want you coming in our store because we love people who like to go fishing. And there's a lot of stuff in here. And even if 2/3 of our customers use conventional tackle as well as fly tackle.
Mhm.
And most of them would not mention that in here because they thought we would think that they were bad people because they use conventional tackle. And that's unfortunate, but that's prevalent in our industry.
Yeah, there's egos, eh? There's
Yeah.
an arrogance to fly fishing, right?
We have people that come in the store that go out west and walk in a store and no one will talk to them for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's stupid.
I hate that.
It's just dumb. Like,
It
what
is.
that?
Oh, it's arrogant,
That's
but
arrogant.
but that's the way it is. But
Yeah.
getting back to your thing about Ottawa, if you
Yeah.
go online and you try to find out information about fly fishing in Canada, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I've thought in the last 2 or 3 days is, wow, these guys are out there promoting their own country, their own
Yeah.
province, and saying, hey, we got some good fishing up here.
Oh,
And it's warm water fishing. It's not all the traditional Atlantic salmon and steelhead, which is great fun and great fishery. And we have that in Indiana as well.
Mhm.
We don't have Atlantic salmon, but we have steelhead
Mhm.
and king salmon in the northern part of Indiana. But that's great. It's really needed because information about Canada is, unless you go to a boat sport and travel show where there's a bunch of outfitters from Canada promoting their place, you could get information there. But otherwise, it's hard to find.
Yeah, for sure. Call Drift, man. Next time you're around Ontario, just call Drift.
Yeah.
Just Toronto shop. Like, they'll hook you up with all kinds of information. Because that's the thing, too. Like, there's not, like, it's in Ontario. There's not, like, fly shops all over the place. Even though
Or
it's
even just
giant.
in Canada,
Just in
like,
Canada in general, yeah. It's like it's a giant place, but there's not, like you say, a ton of people, focused on doing it. It's not, like, overly saturated in terms of that stuff, so.
I feel like the only city that has multiple fly shops is like Calgary,
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty much, like on the Bow River and stuff. And
But, yeah, no, it's cool to see more people getting into bass and,
yeah, it's great.
yeah. So why don't we switch gears and talk a little bit about the white? So, like, Jason, what rivers do you guide on?
Yeah, so the White River, the Flat Rock, and the tippy canoe typically.
Is it just you, or do you've got other guides? Or?
Yeah, myself and Wade
Yeah,
do most of the guiding. If I had it my way, I would fish 100% of the time on the White River. Really.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
Derek,
just
I'll
kinda-
totally. Sorry, Jason. I'll totally take another.
Derek just
I'll
went to
totally
get
take
some more
another one
beers.
of these if you can. It'd be awesome.
I think I'll just have this Kolsch that's sitting here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beer Brewery.
Sorry for interrupting you, Jason. I saw Derek running for the cooler, and I'm like, this is my opportunity. Is there any more in there? There is.
We have no
Shortage of beer.
of BIER Brewery.
Who was our contact over at B?
Sarah.
Sarah, I'm so sad. I'm bummed we
Thanks,
didn't
Derek.
get to meet Sarah, but thank you for the
Yes.
seemingly endless flow of
Thank you so
beer.
much. It's
These guys
delicious.
were, I had a guy, I got interviewed for this beer,
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And what, tell me this again.
We're drinking beer and fishing.
And it's kind of like this, like, where are you fly fishing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're
And I'm
doing
like,
what?
Look, we need some beer for these guys. They're from Canada,
Yeah.
and Canadians like beer.
We do like beer a
and
lot.
Do you like beer?
and they should have the best. And
Yep.
this is the best.
This is the best.
That's
It's
just
really
all
good.
there is to it. We got 9 cases of beer, and there's a few souvenirs left.
9.
Yeah.
So generous.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I mean, just can't say enough about those folks. They have they've won so many awards. They're really good local folks,
Yeah.
and of course, they're just down the street from my house. So of
Check
course,
'em out.
that's
Boom, baby.
Yeah, check
yeah,
'em out.
that's where
How
you want to be.
convenient.
Yeah,
But
Thanks.
the white is also down the street from your house.
yeah.
right?
So the white's down the street. So for me, it's like that's where we fished, man.
Mhm.
We've found more put-ins and other put-ins, and we've floated it all for over a decade, and slowly I just found that just no one really appreciated it. The fish kill, a huge fish kill happened in 1999, and of course here I relocate here, and it's like early 2002, and I often tell people I was just stupid enough to go down there and start fishing.
Mhm.
You're dealing with, I'm fishing waters where you had a complete kill, right? And
Right.
and I'm doing well. I was, it wasn't like gangbusters or anything, but it was really good fish, on a nice 7-hour float. And, I'm also amazed by just the scenery, right?
Yep.
I mean, you it's just beautiful. I mean, the other thing is that it's so underappreciated that I very seldom do I see any other people.
Yep.
So how cool is it to be able to go and get on a river with some clients or some friends and experience a great day of fishing and have it all to yourself, and I think, when we started the website, it was, I basically lay it out where I'm going, and there was a lot of fishermen that were, quit telling people where you're fishing. Well, I can't believe you tell people where you're fishing,
Yep.
and for me, it's just the direct opposite of what the conventional is. That's my whole type stuff. I wanted to share, the flows, the exact areas that I go and where I put in, how long it is, because again, for me, it's about sharing it. More people that see it, the more people that enjoy it, the more people are going to take care of it.
Yep.
And so,
Creating stewards, right?
oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, raving fans of the river,
Mhm.
and everyone most of the people I talk to when where do you fish? Well, White River,
Mhm.
and they'd kind of look at me like, ooh, wow, you're fishing in there? I got that like 8 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just, the fishing was so good. The beauty was there. We're limited in some cases on access, but there was good enough access, right?
Right.
And that's how this whole thing started. I mean, just spending time on the river and being in a position to share it with people.
Yeah.
And at some point that you just had to make a business of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I guess it's like, the fish kill, we could talk about that because, another one of the reasons we're doing this episode is maybe we would have done it anyways because it would have been so fun just to come to Indiana and fish and hang out with you guys. But we're doing a few episodes just on stewardship and water restoration and protection. We just had Mark Madsen on the show. Kolsch time, baby. We have Les Stroud coming on talking about Temagami. We have you guys talking about the white. What is the White River fish kill? And what was that incident?
Yeah, so 1999, company Guide Corp, ultimately, in essence owned by GM, up in Anderson, Indiana, decides to...
Where's Anderson in relation to where we are?
So, yeah, Anderson's about 45 minutes north of here,
Okay.
right? And, the river basically comes right through Anderson, Indiana,
Okay.
which is a huge... it's a city that was built on auto plants, right?
Yeah.
Auto parts, etc.
Yeah.
Huge automotive industry. I mean, that's where everyone worked. And so company decides to go ahead and dump a bunch of toxins in the water. Super great idea. And it was a complete kill. I mean, that's the way that they describe it. I mean, every single fish in the river for 60 miles from the point of origin was dead.
86 tons of fish.
Yeah. I mean,
Jesus.
tons.
That's so crazy. Oh my god.
Derek, you were living here when that happened?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The guys that were cleaning it up were coming in here and buying waders because they thought, they didn't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, it was summertime, but you didn't need waders. But they were like, we need waders.
Whatever's in there.
Jeez.
What was it? Do we know what it was that they dumped in? I think John talked about it a little bit today, actually.
I don't know exactly what it was. Basically, it deoxygenated the water.
Right.
So, and that's...
Sucked all the oxygen out of it and...
Guess everything dies.
Yep. People started seeing fish doing weird stuff, and then ultimately washing up on the banks. Floaters everywhere.
Yeah.
People are saying that carp were trying to breach the surface just to breathe.
Yep.
And the river was just like clear, like shock in a pool, right?
Crystal clear.
Yeah.
Nothing in it.
No algae survived, no vegetation, no fish.
No. Anything that was getting touched by it was dead.
Jeez.
I mean, literally put a line on the rocks.
Yeah.
Where the water level was at that time. So, you'll hear most of the people that were around when it happened to say that the invertebrates, because this was in the winter, right? But everything that had burrowed down for the winter was good. So that was one positive thing, right? I mean, you had some food source for fish that had gone down for the winter, and then at that point, it came back. But it's how people do stuff like this, and the truth is that it's happening all over. I mean, not just in America. It happens everywhere, and over the time, I've seen this river in my 16 years of being here. It's like tides are changing. I mean, they are changing. You've got some huge momentum just in the recent last couple of years. You've got Pullian Trust has put a bunch of money into promoting the White River. They've done 3 short films on the river. I took part in doing some taping for a message for the White, or basically what was a water summit last summer. White River Alliance has been, real helpful with my business, and in return, I've helped them with messaging about the White River and how important it is. You've got a group, 1985, I think, Friends of the White River, that's around. There's now this mywhiteriver.com. If you check that out, they've done, they're basically, it's the city of Indianapolis and Hamilton County have come together and created kind of a vision plan, if you would, and they've released that plan after, a number of different public studies, and they've brought specialists in from all different sides of this thing. And, it's incredible to see something go from, even in my short time, from ooh to, wow. Mm-hmm. This is something that's important to us. And I for me, really, it's just crazy that, it's our only waterway in Indianapolis. I mean, we've got creeks that feed it, but what are you thinking? You know, it's just like, this is all you got, you know. And I grew up in San Antonio, which has a river run through it, and thus the Riverwalk. And you want to talk about economic muscle, you know, I mean, what this river does when it runs through the middle of your town.
Yeah.
And, you know, Indianapolis over the last number of years has really started to realize, I think, what they've got here and how important it is to take care of it. So, you know, a lot of this started with advocacy, right? Cleanups, teaching people about the resource. And, you know, there's been some big projects that are going down right now. So like the
Deep Rock Tunnel.
Yeah, they call it the Big Dig, right? You know, so Citizens Energy owns our stormwater, okay, and they're our water company.
Okay.
And they have they've got a huge project going on in Indianapolis where they're basically digging this huge tunnel, and it's going to capture the overflow of raw sewage. Because what happens when we get a good amount of rain, the storms or the sewers just can't handle it.
Yeah.
So it comes out and it goes right into the river without being treated.
Just raw sewage
Raw
straight
sewage.
into the white.
Right.
Dude, same thing. Same thing happens in Toronto, man.
Right into the
And
water.
Kingston and Ottawa.
Yeah, like same thing happens in Toronto.
Yep.
Too much water goes straight into the Humber or the Don or
Yep.
yeah.
So now they've got this project that, you know, is going to hold that stuff until the water levels go down. Then they can treat it and then go on about their business, you know. And it's, make no mistake about it, it's going to really affect the folks south of Indianapolis, you know, which is great. Now, that's not an area that I typically fish, but it needs to be done because Indianapolis is the largest population in the state,
Right.
you know, and you've got to take care of it, both as it heads out of here and then above us, you know. And so Muncie's done some work on their sewer system up there recently. and-
Muncie is a county.
Yeah, Muncie is a city.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so that's
okay,
where
okay.
Ball State is, and the river originates just near there. So, you know, these things and the momentum that we've got right now is just huge.
I mean, you know, building an overflow thing for raw sewage treatment so you can treat it later, it just makes so much sense.
Now it's been done in a couple of other cities.
Oh, yeah?
And when you look at economic development for Indianapolis,
Yeah.
if you look at like south of downtown all the way to Martinsville, you look at all the really good things can happen when you get a clean river. People want to live next to it.
Oh, man.
People
yeah.
want to play in it. And those are parts of our city that need an influx of money. And
Yeah.
And already, you know, the fishing downtown is really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yep.
And people come in here and they go, is there any place to fish downtown? I go, yeah. Really? You know, they still have this mentality of, you know,
Yeah.
three-eyed catfish
Yeah,
and,
sure.
you know, the usual stuff that you guys probably hear. You
Oh,
probably
yeah.
hear the same thing up there. And so the more that the river gets promoted and the more people get on it, the more they realize, wow, hey,
yeah,
this is nice.
You're right.
it's got enough against it. Negative attitudes about it
You're
are
right.
just not going to help anything. I mean, you just
Exactly.
you
a really
cannot
good
you
point.
cannot keep
Yeah.
just ooh
Yeah.
and talking badly about the river. I mean, you've got to be a proponent of the river. Yeah, man, it gets muddy, you know? I mean, it is what it is, man. But this river is what we got.
Yeah, our last guest actually in this kind of series, Mark Matson from Swim Drink Fish, which is like a nonprofit like water kind of stewardship company. He said the same thing. He's like, yeah, like there's no point in getting like angry about stuff or getting, you know, like blamey and all, you know, negative about stuff. It's more just like how do we flip it around and just like how do we, you know, come together and push this stuff forward, because that's how you make change, right? It's just that collective positive effort rather than just being bummed out and negative and just saying, oh, we shouldn't swim or whatever in it. It's crazy. you know?
Negative breeds negative.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just
Gets you
all
nowhere,
It's
right?
not. It gets you zero.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got nothing. There's so much good to tell
Mhm.
about it that I just can't imagine why you have to go to the negative of it. It's our river. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We met excuse me, sorry. We met a guy named John Bundy today, right?
Yeah.
And he kind of, you know, lived through that whole thing, through the fish kill. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but he was instrumental in getting the fish stocks back in the river?
Oh, no doubt about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he said something really cool. So obviously he's a huge, important factor in that, the restoration of the fish population, right? So along those lines, he said something. He's like, listen, did this massively negative thing happen? Well, I'm paraphrasing here, but anyway. Did this massively negative thing happen? Yes. Like, we can either just gripe about it or we can learn from it, look at it as a point in history, and then and correct it.
Yeah.
And learn how to correct it and teach other people how to correct it if it happens there, which hopefully, of course, it doesn't. But
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I mean, well, John, so after the fish kill, what were the restoration efforts? What did people do, I guess? I mean, I know they took them to court.
Yeah, right. So the first thing was they figured out who did it, right? And then started going after them with the attorneys, etc. But these guys that are up there, so like John Bundy's shop, Bundy Duck Decoys, is right there in Strawtown. It's literally right by the river. He's been on the river, a ton. Super, big White River lover. And, to them, it was like, well, we need to restock immediately. As soon as they knew it was safe enough to put fish in there, they started finding ways to buy fish and put fish in there. Let's not overcomplicate things here. In time, right? The way I look at it, time is something you can't get back. So the faster that took place, I look at, there's not a fish that I grab and take a picture of, or my client grabs and takes a picture of, that I don't think in some way, shape, or form that early stocking, especially the large fish, which, let's face it, that's what everybody's after. Those fish were put in by these guys.
Right.
And it was John and some other folks, and I'm not bright enough to know each and every one of their names, but I've read enough on it to know that John Bundy was a big deal about it. And I think, after visiting with him today, it's like, I think it's, he's just a pretty simple guy, right?
Yeah.
A salt of the earth guy that says, well, yeah, we need to get fish in there, and this is where we can buy them. And I was fascinated by, well, we don't want to buy fish from, anywhere but our neighboring states, right? Where
Right.
these fish, because these smallmouth are native. This isn't, they're not from somewhere else, man. They've been here forever.
Yeah.
And that's really what makes them special to me too. I mean, they are our fish, they were here, and these guys went out and got strains that are associated with this area and got them in there. And I was also fascinated by him telling us that he wasn't just looking for these little fingerlings, right? They were buying larger fish.
Right.
So what a story. I mean, and it's just amazing that here we are 20 years later. I mean, we've got a few months to go before it's exactly 20 years, but that was part of why when I started talking to you guys, it's like, man, you should come down here, because in essence, it's a 20-year anniversary of this terrible thing that happened.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we've got all this positive stuff going on with all these different groups and the Napoleon Fund putting money towards this. And it's a great time to kind of keep the momentum going. And so having you guys down here, it just allows us to kind of spread that word, and allows us to share it with some people that, in my opinion, have some influence, right? And so it's been incredibly great to have you down here. See the river, see what it's about, and then even better to get all these backstories, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
super
man, we met
cool.
so many people, man.
I
It was
mean,
crazy.
Just talking about
I was like,
just talking about John right there, like what a cool guy. And like you said, he's an old fella. He builds wooden ducks, and he's done it for 40 years. Salt of the earth,
Yeah.
country guy, Midwest, like right in Indiana. Tough guy, but
Oh,
he gets
yeah.
he's so extremely passionate about the water, the effect the water and the rivers have on people. Like, he really softens up when he's talking about it.
Yeah, he was.
This is like a tough,
he's a tough
country guy,
tough motherfucker.
You got to
Yeah,
him, Mitch.
yeah.
You got to him.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to him today.
He was just in talking about how the water just seeing the community come together to like help restore a river that was affected by greed and corruption. Like he was just like so moved by it, and I think it's inspiring to see that it's not just the like we were talking about this earlier, they're granola eating, you know, Patagonia wearing, people in the city that care about protecting water. It's guys that are like tough shit like, in the country, you know, like John.
If you look up like water conservationist or environmentalist, people that look like John don't typically come up in your Google
hippies,
searches.
It's activists,
It's hippies,
which
it's
is
activists,
cool,
but
and-
it's really, you know, what is it? What type of people does it affect most? The type of people who live on the river, right?
Yeah.
Everybody cares, and it's just really cool to see.
Yeah,
that
it's
that
inspiring.
coming to life. you
Yeah,
know?
it's
Yeah.
super inspiring.
In life, there's doers and there's talkers, you know, and that guy's a doer.
That's for
You
sure.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's just no doubt about it. I mean,
Plus,
Yeah, and doers aren't out to garner publicity and
No.
awards and everything else.
No.
They do it because they love it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got a lot of people in Indiana that are like that. They do things they love to do.
Yeah.
And
Hey, man, you're one of them.
it's a great place to be.
it
Yeah.
is. Don't tell my Texas natives.
If there's one like image of a person enjoying the river, I think that's Derek. Like
Oh man.
when we came around the corner of the bend, you just had a stogie going with that rosé
Sipping some-
sparkling in the
Or on
sunshine.
the boat
I'm like-
floating down, getting towed down the Frogwater by Jason's drift.
Oh yeah, that's a first.
Drinking red wine, smoking a cigar, talking to Jen. You guys had a great
You
time.
guys
in
were
the
having a
sun.
great time. Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
which I think is ingenious. You guys like. I don't think I've ever seen a 5.5 on a drift boat before, but I think that's so smart. Just motoring through the frog water,
Yeah.
and we're towing Derek, and Derek's on the boat with our photographer Joel's girlfriend Jen, and they're just drinking Cabernet, smoking cigars, just laughing
You know,
Well,
it's
in between catching fish. Jen's first fly rod bass,
yeah,
mind you.
and got her second.
And then
Yeah.
when you go, you know, through that river community, which is, you know, there's no roads that go through it. So, and there's no shopping in that community.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what you saw yesterday is that's a whole different community than Indianapolis. Most people in Indianapolis have no idea that exists.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you saw all the different people using the river for a bunch of different reasons.
Oh yeah.
And all of them are having fun. And so you look at that small stretch of river that exists there, and the part that we were on yesterday, there's a lot more of that goes south of Indy.
Right.
Just keeps
And
going.
There's
It
people
just
like
keeps going for a long way.
people like water skiing, kayaking. There's that riverboat cruise. Everyone having I think what was it? It was like 50 people having
Yeah,
a
it's a
birthday party.
Paddle
Like,
boat.
you know, like the big paddle boat. Like
Well, it's an interesting
people
point.
in
like,
pontoon boats. Like
everyone's enjoying it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Derek, did you see enjoyment of the river in general increase after the restoration of it, after the fish kill, or was it kind of always the same sort of? Did more people realize the resource they had? And
No.
Hmm.
I mean, because it's people. Well, if you on your way out of here, look when you go across a bridge, see if you can see the water.
Yeah.
You can't, because now we build bridges where you can't see the water, and out of sight, out of mind. And when you go, so when people travel through the state, basically, especially on the main thoroughfares, when they go across water, they don't see it. They don't even know it's there. They just know it's a bridge.
Yeah.
There's water down there. Oh, it's probably polluted. It's probably no good.
Mhm.
And that's just the general perception that they have,
yeah,
because we hear nothing about anything good about any of our water.
Yeah.
You know, most of the publicity is always bad,
Mhm.
or publicity is when the river's high, some idiot in a kayak gets stuck in a tree and dies.
yeah.
You know, that
Low head dam.
what?
Yeah.
they want a kayak when the water's really high, and they don't realize it's dangerous until
Yeah,
they're
sure.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Until
sure.
they're dead.
Yeah.
So it's so, you know, as I think about all this, I mean, we're real involved as far as your shop here and helping people fish places, but I also realize that there's still a ton of work to be done to get people to appreciate and recognize all the water that we have in the state.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
whoever wants to help do that, you get on board with them.
Yeah, and obviously we know the fallout of people getting into it is just better environment, healthier rivers because people care. What do you think the steps, like what do we have to do to get more people into it?
Well, I think, you know, White River Alliance is probably a good start.
Yeah.
There-
All of them. There's a number of different
Yeah.
groups.
Sorry, just quickly for the listeners out there,
Yeah.
what is the White River Alliance exactly?
Yes, it's a group of people that, it's what we were at their treasurers. They've got about $23,000, right?
Yeah.
And they basically are advocates for the White River.
Oh, okay.
And they're the ones that put on the water summit, right? So they're real in tune with water. I mean, let's face it. Right now, the state of Indiana's got plenty of water, right? It's not like we're a desert or anything like that, but we have some of the lowest water costs as well. I mean, if you look across the country, our water is very inexpensive. Let's face it, a lot of things in Indianapolis, or Indiana for that matter, are very inexpensive when you look across the country. And that's going to stop. I mean, it's going to get to a point where water is a resource that is, just continues to be depleted. Mm-hmm. And as you look at that, that ever draw on water, it's super important that you realize where it's coming from, and all this water originates from runoff, right? I mean, all of it is being rained here, right? This river originates in Indiana, and it stays in Indiana,
Right.
So it's what flows all our water. It feeds the reservoir, and we've got to be cognizant of it, and we have got to protect it. And groups like Friends of the White River, White River Alliance, mywhiteriver.com, these guys are doing it. Friends of the White River's been doing it for a long, long time. And the way they tend to do it is they're always there, for the big meetings. But one of the things I love that they do, and, just shout out to Kevin Hardy and their group. I teach a class over at Butler, and I'm only in my second. They asked me to do it last fall, but I had 25 students in there. 7 of them had never had a fishing rod in their hands. And when I looked at the curriculum of this class, I thought, wow, this needs to be an introduction to the White River too. Butler campus sits on the White River. So for me, I kind of changed things around a little bit and went from, here's fishing 101 to, hey, on Tuesday, guys, at 11, we're going to meet over here, at Rocky Ripple. And I managed to get a bunch of donation rods, and I'd sit there and I'd string up 25 rods. And we're going to fish, and we're going to hang out on the White River, and we're going to catch fish, Mm-hmm. Pretty tough to do with 25 people
Sure,
on a,
Yeah.
A single bank that's not even a quarter mile, right? And I've got to keep everybody safe. But they are catching some fish, but for me, man, you just got to go do it. You got to show them it. And from that one class, I had 3 different students ask, well, I'm in this media class and I've got to do an interview. And I'm like, well, on what? And they're like, well, I can do it on anything, anybody, and I'm like, well, what do you want? And, well, we want to interview you. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. 3 out of 25 of them are doing these little interviews and doing these little projects where they're talking about people. And ultimately, each one of these interviews, they just wanted to delve into the White River, and these little things that are going on to make it better. And I just thought that was super cool,
Sure.
So it all starts with education, I mean, everyone just needs to be educated on what hurts the river, what not to do. They're doing a lot better job. I mean, I've got a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I mean, if I put a straw in one of my drinks, they're looking at me like, "Whoa, Dad,"
Yeah.
So I mean, we're getting better as a society about teaching these types of things, but there's a whole lot of adults out there that need some training too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about just getting out there and seeing it, and then getting involved. I mean, cleanups, right? Even things like, whether you're using fertilizer on your yard, right? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, little things that you can do to help it. The other things we don't talk about is like, these, agriculture. It's a huge business here in Indiana, and nothing against farmers. I mean, I realize how everybody's got to do things, and I realize how important farming is. But there are ways to, keep the soil from being so compact. You can put riparian areas between the farms and the river. You don't have to plant right to the river line, you know. Little things like this can start to really change things. I mean, if we could get more time on the river and find a way to not have it so muddied up by 2 inches of rain, right? Then you'd have a lot more fishing. And to me, I've always looked at it. I heard something one time, like one salmon, when you buy it, it's like what, $7.99 a pound, but if you have people coming out to fly fish for that salmon, right? What it's worth is a lot more than $7.99 a pound. And we're talking a lot more. The multiplier is insane, to the locals, right? To the hotels, everybody. I mean, that ecotourism that comes into these places far outweighs, putting your field right up to the riverbank.
There's towns that exist because of that ecotourism
man.
model, right?
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
And people will spend more money to go to places that are conscious of all this stuff, that are using local labor, right? Yeah. And we all see it. There's a ton of money in fly fishing. Tons of money.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Gaspé.
I mean,
look at Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spend a lot of money on fly fishing. Jeez.
It's what I spend most of my money on,
exactly.
Right? I mean, outside of my family, right? In the house, the four things, right? Food, shelter,
Yeah.
It's like
food, shelter, family, and fishing.
Fishing, But and then we've got some big time, we've got some organized feeding lots, man.
Yeah.
These CAFOs. And, there's, from what I hear, there's like 30 of them in Madison County up there. And that stuff's not good either.
Bringing in animals, a bunch of animals in one spot to feed. And
you got it.
And then also just exist there for...
They exist there until slaughter, right? Yeah. And they're all in one spot, and they all got to go to the bathroom.
Concentrated.
Where's it going to go?
Straight
it goes in the White River, So, and we see it in those algae plumes, and we always know... one of my mentors and a guy that's been guiding on the White River for well before I ever showed up, Jeff Conrad. I mean, he hits me up on a text and says, "Man, boy, these algae plumes are, we're getting them early. You need some warm water, you need some fertilizer, and you need some poop, and all of a sudden you've got these patties floating down the river, and it's a problem." And it's the only way it changes is when we change it ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think water, as a resource, obviously extremely important as a utility, right? As an activity, extremely important. Wade said it best, it's just he needs it for his soul. Yep. I think we all get that 100%. I think tons of people, paddlers, hikers, swimmers, whatever, people get it. Those two things right there, like resource and just like therapy. I think it's like really pretty integral to just life. So it's like taking water seriously, seeing it happen in Indiana is inspiring, and then you guys are obviously making huge steps towards protecting the White and other rivers. We're seeing it happen all over the country, all over the continent, all over the world. Obviously, there's still tons of work to do, but it's nice to see that stuff going forward.
For sure.
I think switching tracks a little bit now. We do something every show called Mitchie's Fishies 5. Jason, I think you're aware of Mitchie's Fishies 5.
Oh, I'm aware. Big fan.
Derek, we ask our guest, every single guest the same 5 questions. So we're going to Mitchie's Fishies 5, both of you guys. Mitchie's Fishies 5 because my name's Mitchie, and these questions are fishy. And there's 5 of them.
And there's 5 of them, yeah. And it's always a nice way to
kind of wrap things up.
But then it usually leads to a larger conversation.
For sure.
And now there's 2 of you, so holy
This ain't no buzzer beater, like how fast can you answer? It's take your time. It's just 5 more questions, basically. Here we go. Jason, let's start with you. We'll just go one by one.
Sure.
Okay, number 1, what is your favorite fish and why? And I think I know what the answer is already.
It's flounder. No, I'm just kidding.
Goldfish.
Absolutely the smallmouth. You're talking to a kid that grew up in Texas and respect the redfish and the speckled trout and largemouth bass for that matter. But I have grown so fond of these Indiana bronzebacks that I would be remiss to say anything else. Smallmouth.
Fantastic fish. Derek, favorite fish and why?
That's tough.
Could be anything in the world. Smallmouth, obviously, right? Maybe it's smallmouth.
Well, I spend about a month in the Bahamas every spring, so I love bonefish. But you have to put the smallmouth in with the bonefish because those are two fish that per pound are the best fish in their environment as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
To catch a big bonefish is more difficult than catching a permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've caught quite a few permit.
Yeah.
But to catch a bonefish over 10 pounds,
Good luck.
it's a lot harder.
Wow.
A lot harder to find, a lot harder to do than catching your first permit.
Have you done that?
Mm-hmm. And the first,
Of course.
but I tell you,
Oh, yeah. There's a legend.
you know, the question over the past couple of 3-4 years is how big a smallmouth will we get out of the white? Will we ever get something like 7 or 8 pounds, which hasn't been done yet? But I'm thinking, boy, one of these years somebody's going to
got to.
bust it.
It's got to. Eventually, right?
Yeah,
Probably be you.
I don't know.
Could be.
With a glass of cab and a good cigar going.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have quite a few cabs that day.
All right, number 2. Jason, if you could fish anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
Oh, that's easy.
You
Terry's
know,
got it.
yeah, for me, I'd go to the Seychelles, right?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
like,
Okay, sure. Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
A, it's going to cost a ton of money for me to get there, right? And so, which I don't have. So, if I could just, beam myself over there and catch one of those GTs, then that's pretty much what I want to do. Something about the way those guys go after those GTs that's just insane to me.
Yeah.
And so it's right there at the top right now.
Oh, man, that's a great answer because that destination looks super rad. It's on the top of everybody's list.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, bagging a huge G2 would be pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Derek, you said this one's easy for you.
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Oh, I've been just about everywhere in the world to fish. I haven't been to the Seychelles, but I've caught GTs before. And
Amazing.
there's something about, and this has happened over the past 3 or 4 years when the white has gotten so good.
Yeah.
It's really good now. That waking up in the morning, having a cup of coffee, going and fishing all day, coming home, getting in your own bed, after a great day on the water, it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
So I love fishing here.
It's a great
Well
answer,
said.
man.
Well
I
said.
think that's what keeps us going back to the river, right? So those good days at home. Jason, number 3, what is your best or favorite fishing memory?
Yeah, so it's kind of 2, right? So my grandfather was the one that was a big influence on me in fishing. And so, there's no doubt you've got to, he's since passed, and, all those memories of fishing with him as a kid, handed me my first fly rod. So, we did a lot of that in Texas, and then we would have summers. That side of my family was from Louisiana, so we would go fish Bayou Lacombe, which I had a great grandmother that lived on it. And so me and my cousins and my brother would stay there for about 3 weeks every summer when we were kids. And I was the one that really got stuck with the fishing bug. I mean, from day one that, the first time I ever fished, I was probably 4 years old, I suspect. And it was what I wanted to do, any waking moment that I could do it. So I was always the one that got up in the morning, grabbed the canoe, went out on my own. And when I got a fly rod at 12, it was like, wow, hooked my cousin and got him in the neck and pulled on it a little bit. I mean, Jeff will tell you that. I got him right in the neck, and I thought it was in a pine tree, and I kept pulling.
Oh, geez.
And I heard, but those memories really stand out to me. So the early days, and then, I went out to Montana in 1996, and I met some really good, but that have become lifetime fishing buddies, right? And we had a day on the Yellowstone River inside the park, below the falls, and you had to hike down there. And I had one of my buddies that was just really into hiking, fishing too, but he was really into getting into destinations where not very many people went. So he talks us into doing this thing called 7 Mile Hole, right? And sounds like hell to me, and it was. But we hiked down 7 miles and switchbacks down into the canyon. And we get down there, and they had a salmon fly hatch going on down there that was just as epic as you've ever seen it. And we all know that fishing trout with big bugs is just super fun. And we had two.
Well, we don't, but I'm sure it is.
2 full days of that all day because we were camping down there.
Yeah.
We ended up getting Giardia or something, and that kind of put a damper on getting out of there. But easily, hands down, the best 2 days of fishing. We stopped counting. I mean, but salmon fly hatch, that's one of the tops too.
That's pretty rad.
Sorry to be so long-winded, but
no, I mean,
that's great, man.
both of those things were,
yeah, for sure.
they're right there.
It's tough to pinpoint one, but Derek, you got to do it.
The best fishing experience.
Yeah. Your favorite one, best
It's
memory.
yet to come.
Hey, that's nice, man.
Deep thoughts
That's
with
nice.
Derek.
It's yet to come.
Yeah.
Derek's deep thoughts.
Because, it's just how life can be.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them back there, but, you just go forward thinking, wow, the best day.
Yeah.
It can pop up any day.
Yeah.
So
Keeps you going back.
I have fun with that thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's kind of like your
Yeah.
next cast thing.
Yeah. I think I completely know what you mean. I mean, it's just a matter of like, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen 5 minutes from now? Oh, one more cast. It's getting dark, but let's just see if we stay out an extra 10 minutes. And then you catch a fish for a lifetime.
The biggest bonefish I ever caught a couple of years ago was
Yeah.
the last cast of the day.
Oh, yeah.
It was a Hail Mary, and I thought I had no chance in hell.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Perseverance, right? That's so good. Number 4, Jason, why do you fly fish?
I fly fish because of, it's the one thing that kind of silences my head. I mean, that's, if I could put it anyway, it's the one thing that, I get so involved in, and I'm so concentrated on it that any woes that I have, anything I'm worried about, just kind of go out the door, and so, that's the reason. I mean, it's a complicated thing, right? I mean, there's a lot of facets to fly fishing. And so I think the ability to learn and the problem solve, those things are so important. And so I just find when I'm fishing, or for that matter, when I'm guiding, I mean, it's just, I forget about all the other things, man. Mm-hmm. And that's number one for me.
Yeah, that's definitely Yilma, I think, would reciprocate that. He said the same thing about just a meditative sort of takes you out of it experience. You can just chill.
Yep.
Derek, why do you fly fish?
Well, so why am I in this business is another question too.
Absolutely.
Mostly it's because the people that come in here are great people, and we have a few bummers every now and then. That's why we have a sign over here that says whining is a $5 charge.
Nice. Yeah, good call.
So
That's great.
only charged 2 people. They didn't pay.
Amazing.
But you have to surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
And I think every now and then you get a ringer that you didn't see coming, but that happens. You get blindsided by a lot of people. But the people that you spend your time with reflect in your own attitude about yourself. And I just find that, especially here in the Midwest, people we have that come in here that go fishing, fish with Jason, these are great people. And when you spend a day with a great person, you become better. So that's why I love it.
The people. Yeah, I mean, it's an awesome answer. I think, Jason, you said it too. It's just fun fishing with other people.
It's a communal sport to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I say it all the time. There's a lot of, I know a lot of friends that, they'll go out and fish by themselves. But for me, it's better shared. I mean, hands down, it's better shared for me.
So Jason comes in here and he said, I'm starting this guide service.
That's awesome.
And so the first thing I think about is, who is this guy?
Yeah.
It's not, can he fish? Can he do this or do that? But is he a person of good character?
Yeah.
Because if he's not, I don't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
So obviously I thought the other.
Yeah.
So.
Pest test. Killer.
Look at that, man.
Boy, I really, pulled one over on you, Derek.
Good father, good husband, loves his kids,
Hey, very nice of you to say. Thank you.
So this last one's my favorite
I think
one.
it's become like
Yeah.
all of our favorites.
Yeah,
for
I
sure,
think
yeah.
we said it before. Eventually, we're gonna take all these responses and turn it into a book or something like that. But this
Well, that's
last
a good
question,
idea.
I know, it'd be cool, right? A little coffee table book. That's what I'm saying.
Yo, that's a great idea,
Pretty
man.
cool. Episode 100 hits. We're putting a book out. Get ready. 50 more to go. 55 more to go. But
it's
we're
a-
gonna do it.
It's a 100-page book, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Whoa.
like a novella of responses. Jason, number 5. If you could pick a fly pattern to represent you, what fly pattern would that be? What fly pattern represents you best and why?
Yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit on the boat, but I am definitely a beadhead woolly bugger guy. All right,
What color?
it's black all day long.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean black beadhead woolly bugger. To me, it represents so much food for the smallmouth, for any fish really. It's such a versatile pattern. It's the first one I ever learned to tie. And it's just, it's, I often think of flies of like, if I could only have 5, right?
Yep.
Wherever I'm at, what would I have? And woolly bugger's right there at the top. So for me, it's the black beadhead woolly bugger.
It's a great answer. I
Great
love it.
answer.
Caught a bass on it this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, Joel, our photographer,
Yep.
he slammed a beautiful White River smallmouth.
Yeah, really nice.
His
fish.
biggest bass for sure.
It was a big fish. Yeah.
Maybe the
Dandy.
biggest, maybe the biggest of the trip.
Yeah, it was nice.
I don't know though.
Yeah,
Mitchie's,
it's
yours was.
between him and Mitch,
Yeah.
Too, baby. But he got a nice
You
one.
caught, you
man.
caught
Right
a
out of
beautiful
that-
fish, man.
out of that fast water with a black woolly bugger. Yeah.
And that was a good fight. He had to contend with a few things on that fight, which
He
is pretty
did.
funny.
He did.
He's like, "Oh, I touched the dragon. We're moving, and oh God, can we anchor?"
Yeah, slow down, slow down.
slow down. Jason's like, "Nah."
Just real.
Yeah. Keep him on the reel. But I think I touched the dragon. Doesn't matter.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Derek, what fly pattern best represents you and why? If you were a fly, what would you be?
Reverse tide patterns, Thunder Creek style patterns. In particular, of that type of fly now, my favorite's a bad hair day.
The bad hair day.
Yeah, Dave Pinkowski, fly tyer up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Dave ties them, I think, mostly for steelhead. I tie them around here for smallmouth. I love the fly.
Yeah.
It moves so good. It's probably the fly that's closest to a fluke in conventional tackle because it moves like a fluke. And it can be tied with a variety of materials. So you can make it sink slow, you can make it sink fast. And around here we need flies that
A versatility.
are versatile, that we could throw over top of a brush pile and have it hang around for a while. And so it's a bad hair day. Thank you, Dave Pinkowski.
I love it. That's amazing.
I don't know if
So
you've
good.
ever personally had a bad hair day.
Right,
Look
right.
at that thing.
It's great.
Beautiful.
I got the hair.
You got
Spoken
the
from a
hair.
guy who
Mustache, that mustache.
a
is
guy who
amazing.
never has a bad
No.
hair.
Yeah, look at that
The
mustache,
irony
man.
of it. Derek, thanks so much for having us in your shop, Fly Masters. Thanks for hosting us on the river. Jason, thanks for listening to the podcast, man.
Hey man,
Right. I love
Ooh,
that shit.
high
Thanks for
fives.
having us down, too. Like, it's been, thank you even more for just being one of the raddest dudes to host us. I think it's been an awesome time.
I'm so glad you guys said yes. It's like when you guys leave Indiana tomorrow, it's like piece of my family's leaving, man.
Oh man,
It's what
come
happens.
on.
Hey,
man.
I'll
We'll be back, baby. Come on.
I'm
We'll be
dead
back.
serious, man. You're my Canadian brothers,
Right
and
Well, you gotta. I mean,
You're coming
You're
up.
coming up. You guys are coming up
make
anytime
no
you want.
mistake.
So the word rad.
Rad is
Rad,
man.
Wicked.
R-A-D.
Yeah.
Rad and wicked.
Rad and wicked.
Rad, man.
Two northern words we'll have to incorporate into our
Absolutely.
vocabulary.
Well, this
Yep.
trip was rad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Jason,
Is there anything you want to leave people with, like about Two Forks Guide Service?
Yeah, you can find us at www.twoforksfishing.com. We would love to take you fishing here in Indiana.
these guys
And-
have great. Sorry, can I interject? And
Yeah,
give
go
you,
ahead.
Give you like a fist bump here. Like
Sure.
your boats are beautiful. Like
Oh, yeah.
really great drift boats. Like whether it be the Hides or the Stealth Crafts or Wade's awesome raft that he's got for the flat rock.
Yep.
Yeah, just Awesome.
10 out of 10, man.
10 out of
honestly.
10.
Coming when it comes to guided trips, it was like it was so easy. It was just like
So easy.
fishing nonstop, get lunch, and then you're just floating. It's a badass trip. Hit
Yeah.
these guys up.
We've
Yeah,
got
for sure.
access to some housing, so if you're coming from out of town, we'll put you up. Just fish with us.
Which is also great.
Absolutely.
Which is also great. Wi-Fi, everything you need.
What else do you need?
What else do you need? Derek, do you have anything you want to leave people about Fly-Masters or any stuff you got going on?
Well, fly mask, probably our most important thing is we create more fly fishermen. And we probably do that better than anybody else in the entire country. Learning to fly fish here isn't a 2-hour experience at Orvis. Okay, it's an hour here, it's an hour there. We do a fly fishing school. We run over 120 people through that school every year.
That's amazing. 120 people a year?
That's how big the interest is. And since we do
Wow.
our school by appointment and individually, it's easier for people to work into their schedules because people work and have responsibilities at different times of the day. So it's how we stay in business, and it's that's been going on for a long time. So we love doing that.
Right on.
And then we have tying classes, fall, winter, and spring, beginners and people that want to tie more advanced stuff. We call anybody that can start and finish a fly as we consider an intermediate fly tire.
Yeah, right on.
So everybody else is beginner. But
Awesome.
yeah, we've been doing this for 30 years and we love it. And look forward to see I'm 64. Maybe another 20 years.
Stop into the shop.
Yeah.
Say hello.
Bring him a bottle of rosé.
Right
Yeah.
on in Allisonville.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've been here. People come in. I've been here. Been by here a million times. I finally stopped.
Yeah.
Dude, the shop's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
huge. It's got
Everything.
so many fly tying materials, so
Everything.
many flies, rods.
Check it
Our,
out.
Wild.
our customers fish for everything,
Yeah,
tie for everything.
it looks like they do.
and fish all over the world. So that's why we have so much stuff.
It's wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Although,
welcome.
what about SoFly? Where can people find the podcast? I mean, they're listening to it, but where can they find our pictures from Indiana and our amazing videos?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to have a lot of footage to sort through after this one, but you can look forward to some videos coming from this trip for sure. You can find all of our stuff at sofly.ca, whether it be our photos or videos or a podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So, easily. If you guys want to rate us, give us a really great rating because we're just so great. That would be great. A lot of great
Hope so.
going on.
And if you have any questions, thesoflycrew@gmail.com.
The SoFly Crew, gmail.com. On Instagram, you can find us at the SoFly Crew. I just want to give some shout outs here, if I could, to your boy Wade. Wade put us up in the cabin. What's Wade's last name? Sorry.
Corbin.
Wade Corbin is a sweetheart of a man.
Cool, dude.
And he's got a beautiful cabin. He's an excellent guide, and he just is just stoked to share this waterway with you. And
Yeah.
yeah, I can't see. He made the trip for me for sure. I spent most of my time on his boat, and that was a good time for
I mean,
sure.
I think Derek hit good. Like, why fly fish the people, keep you going. Coming to Indiana, yeah, the fishing's great. It's a really unique place, but the people here are great. Like, you guys are great.
Yeah,
So
they're great.
just for that reason alone, come check them out.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you to Wade. I want to thank Holly and Joel who were capturing everything. I want to shout out Beer Brewery.
Mounds Greenway.
Yeah. So shout
White
out
River Alliance.
White River Alliance, Mounds Greenway. We met Jill from the White River Alliance yesterday.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
Bob from Mounds Greenway today. John Bundy, who gave us time for an interview. Man, there was a big community here, and thank you. And I would like to give a little shout out to a birthday boy back home. Yilma could not be with us on this trip because of a wedding, but it is his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Elon.
So happy birthday, Yilma. I wish you were down here to meet everybody, and I wish they could have met you. But
Next time.
we miss you, Yilma.
Reason to come back, eh?
Yeah.
Are you getting him a birthday present?
Oh, you better believe
From
it.
Fly-Masters?
Hey.
man.
I think, we already
got a pile going on
we already picked some birthday presents out. Yeah.
Right on.
And thanks, Derek. Oh, thanks, Derek, we got some swag, got us some gear. Thanks,
Yeah.
Beer Brewery, for the beer.
Yeah.
Thank you a million times. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Costa sunglasses and dry wick and shirts. Amazing stuff. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. That's it for me, Mitch, Aldo,
That's it for me. Thank you.
and Derek, and Jason.
Signing out.
Thank you so much, guys. Everybody
Hey.
for listening. Thank you. Take care.